Hi guys! As you can tell by the title of this video, today's recipe is Burmese style beef curry with potatoes. It's a very hearty meal that I don't usually make, so when I do make this, it's a real treat in the house. First and foremost, you'll need beef. I've got here stew beef cuts and I'm using exactly 0.8 kilograms. I've washed and cleaned them, and next is the marinade. To keep this simple, I just add a bit of turmeric powder and fish sauce. This will give that umami taste. Wrap this up, marinate anywhere from 20 minutes to 24 hours. I just left this in the fridge for about 20 to 30 minutes. Alright, so now I need 3 shallots, around 6 cloves of garlic, and ginger. These are the 3 main ingredients to all my curry dishes. I'll be using my NutriBullet to chop these all up into fine pieces. Traditionally, we'd be using the pestle and mortar, but this has become a much quicker method to get the job done. Now that everything is prepped, let's get cooking. On medium heat, in a medium pot, add 3 to 4 tablespoons of oil. Add the ginger, garlic, and shallots mix. Saute these until they're soft and fragrant. At this point, I like adding a pinch of turmeric powder to give the dish a golden color, because who doesn't like a colorful dish, right? Add some chili powder. For those staying away from anything spicy, you can just add paprika powder instead. This will make your curry so much more vibrant. Saute for another 1 to 2 minutes. Then add the meat. Mix it all up until every pieces are covered with the garlic mix. If it's looking a little too dry and smoky at this point, just like how mine was, just add a bit of water and it'll loosen up all that goodies sticking at the bottom. Then close the lid, let this simmer for about 5 minutes. This will allow time to bring out the juices from the meat. Five minutes later, you'll notice the meat is a lot firmer, and now there's a thin layer of oil developing at the surface. This means it's a good sign. Add a teaspoon of salt and mushroom seasoning, or add a teaspoon of chicken or vegetable bouillon, or bouillon. I don't know how to pronounce that. For those curious about the mushroom seasoning I use, I'll leave a link below for reference. Sometimes I drop in 1 to 2 dried bay leaves, but this is completely optional. Now that everything is seasoned, let's add the bulk of the liquid. I never really measure this out. I just add water until meat is completely covered and submerged. Then cover the lid, turn the heat down to medium-low, and put the timer on for 2.5 hours. Just make sure to check and stir this occasionally so the liquid doesn't dry out fully. It'll take about 2.5 hours on the stove for meat to become fully tender, but if you're like me and you just don't have 2.5 hours to nurse the stove, just transfer this entire dish into a pressure cooker, including all that liquid you just added. I didn't get a chance to film the part where at this stage I transferred all of this into a pressure cooker, but this is what I did. It took about 20 minutes in the pressure cooker. Then I just transferred it all back into the pot and returned to stove on medium heat for the remaining stage. After 20 minutes or 2.5 hours on the stove, whichever method you use, this is what it looks like. Meat is about 70 to 80% tender. I tasted a bit of the broth and felt it needed a little more seasoning, so another half teaspoon of salt and half teaspoon of mushroom seasoning. Now it's time to add the potatoes. I'm using nugget potatoes because they're just the perfect size. Make sure to wash and clean them and add them into the pot. "20 minutes later, check the meat. It should fall off easily with a fork, and the potatoes should be done. The next step is completely optional, adding a bit of curry powder. We use a specific Burmese brand curry powder, which is pretty much just a mild version, but you can definitely leave this part out. It's not necessary. If you feel you want more broth and the liquid is just a bit too dehydrated, just add a tiny bit of water. And now, the very last step is a drizzle of thick, dark soy sauce. This is not entirely a must and also an optional step. I do this to bring the color even more deeper. And that's it. That completes the end of this recipe. All that's left is to enjoy this with some freshly made rice, and that's pretty much it. This concludes the end of the vlog. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you gave this a try. Other than that, have a beautiful rest of the week. Until then, see you next time. Bye!